Hello, it's Joe from EBITDAI, and today I'm going to show you how to build a complex financial model in under 10 minutes using the EBITDAI Excel add-in. So I have a subscription business that's pre-revenue, and I need a financial model. Here it's asking us about how we're going to drive the revenue. I'm going to go with number one, number of subscribers. Number of subscribers. So now it's going to give us several different options for how we could actually drive the unit volume. Let's do number three, marketing driven. Say we have a budget for marketing of $50,000 in year one and then double it every year. And then customer acquisition cost will be $100 in year one, and let's reduce that by 10% every year. So now it's asking about subscriber churn and starting subscribers. We are starting from 0 subscribers, and let's do 15% annual churn. And then it's going to ask us about our pricing. We're going to charge $20 per month. Now it's moving on to direct costs. We have $5 in API costs per subscriber per month, and then also transaction costs of 2.7%. Now we're moving on to corporate overhead. It's asking us if we have any payroll. So I have a CEO who's making $150,000 a year, and then next year I'm going to hire a CFO at $200,000. And in addition to that, each year I'm going to hire 2 analysts at $50,000 each. It's asking us about the benefits load. 20% is typical. Yeah, let's just go with 20%. So we have rent of $1,000 a month, and that's going to increase to $1,500 a month starting in 2026. Okay, now it's asking us about income tax. Yeah, let's just go with 25%. Now it's going to ask about working capital. It's asking about the timing of our customers. Our customers pay monthly, so let's just use 45 days for accounts receivable. Just use 30 days for accounts payable. Be normal. 45 days. It's asking here about capital expenditures or anything that's a fixed asset on the balance sheet. We're going to buy a server for $50,000 in June 2026. It's asking us what our useful life is, and it's giving us an industry benchmark, so 3 to 5 years. Okay, let's go with 5 years. Debt, let's make it interesting. We're going to borrow $1 million in January of 2026, and it's going to have 10% interest. So I'm being intentionally vague here. So repayment structure is definitely the thing that we still need from this. It's giving us some different options. Let's go with amortization. So monthly payments of principal and interest. The term, let's say it is 3 years. Is there any equity rounds? Yes, let's say we raised $500,000 of equity on January 2026. It's building the model right now. For reference, the other AI financial modeling tools have an average latency of around 30 minutes for any financial model like this. And actually, they probably just couldn't build something this complex. But you'll notice in all of their demos, they always say something like, oh, and the amount of time it takes to get a cough that you pretty much need to leave and come back. Because they're jack of all trades. Anything you ask it in Excel, they're going to make an attempt to ask. So that takes a lot more resources than something that's focused like this. And so in about 30 more seconds, this is going to be completely built. So if you couldn't tell already, this is coming from a personal place. This is replicating my process that I've used as a freelance financial modeler. So for the past 8 years, I've been building financial model on a freelance basis, and I've got the process quite dialed. So now I've tried to replicate that process in AI, and that starts with really thorough planning. And then the goal is to build a financial model that's really user-friendly and professional. So let's just take a look through the models to make sure it got everything right. And this is everything we talked about. Balance sheet is balancing. Cash is negative, so that's not good. We'll look into that later. It looks like potentially we need some tweaks, but fortunately it's going to explain everything right now. So it's going to give us this really detailed explanation here of the financial model. And while that reads, let's take a look at the different tabs. So here, you can see there's this split time series. You have the years on the left and a continuous monthly time series on the right. That continuous monthly time series is going to do all the calculations And it's by far the best time series to with. It's the easiest to maintain. It's the least likely to cause errors. You can just fill across really quickly, but it's also the hardest to follow. Can't really see trends on a monthly basis. So that's where the annual time series comes in. So this is just a lot of these functions, these big sum ifs are just summing the months. And then the blue cells, those are inputs, and that's being spread to the months. So you're choosing inputs on an annual basis, doing calculations on a monthly basis, and then summarizing on an annual basis. So you could see the trends and see the impacts of changes in assumptions in real time as you're editing the model on an annual basis, which is showing exactly what's happening. You can see as we grow from 0 subscribers up to 41,000 subscribers and $0 in revenue up to $9 million in revenue. You can see the price increasing over time, API costs staying flat, and all of this is completely dynamic. So you can come in here and say, actually, churn is going to be 20% after 2027, or actually CAC is going to drop by more than that. Let's say it drops to $50. And you can see in real time how that impacts revenue. Revenue has already increased to $11 million. That's why it's really important to keep the assumptions on the same tab as the calculations. You'd lose the ability to see that feedback in real time if you had an assumptions tab. So all of these models are designed in the same way that I build models as a freelancer. And this approach that I've developed, this layout, has been used by many companies to raise more than $1 billion in capital at this point. And I think it's just a lot more user-friendly than your average financial model that was prepared by an investment bank, for instance. Let's go over to corporate overhead. You can see it's capturing new employees pretty well. We have income tax, we have the office rent, and then the additional office rent after December 2025. All of this is correct. Benefits load of 20%. Is calculating correctly off of the total of payroll expenses. So this is perfect. Working capital looks perfect to me. Again, you get to choose this dynamically so you can see the cost of growth as we grow in terms of working capital. The more we grow, the more investment we need, and slightly offset by an increase in accounts payable, which should add to cash. But in general, this is going to be a drag on our cash position as we grow. We have fixed assets. So you can see that CapEx coming onto our balance sheet in June 2026 and then being depreciated over 5 years. Let's change this to 12 months just to show that it will depreciate down to 0 perfectly. In just a few rows, you have all the nuance of dynamic depreciation schedule, which is a really challenging thing to model, actually. A lot of people will have lots of different vintages, and I've seen tabs with thousands of rows trying to manage dynamic CapEx. You shouldn't do this, but just for comparison's sake, I'll hard code 60,000 here, and you can see that too is going to be handled correctly. And even with the extra CapEx, it's depreciating down to 0 over 2 years. So it's handling different vintages of CapEx perfectly. Debt of $1 million in January 2026. Also amortizing down to 0 over 3 years and resulting in 10% of interest. This too is another one that is dynamic, and you can, if we wanted to, we could say that we borrow 1 million in every period and it will all be handled in these rows. This one in particular, I've seen many sophisticated financial models use thousands of rows to model different vintages of amortizing debt. So this process models it in only a few rows. Finally, we have equity. It's just that amount coming on our balance sheet in 2026. So let's go look at the financial statements. Okay, so we can see that our costs are just way higher than our revenue. Eventually, in 2028, we start to break even. But I won't dive into this too much because I want to ask the chat about it. So looking down here, we have a problem with cash. The loan balance here is reflected correctly and goes to 0 over time. And the statement of cash flows is kind of showing a lot of stuff, but if you're not a financial analyst, this isn't going to make a lot of sense to you. So maybe you're concerned. You're like, okay, man, I did all that work and why is cash so weird? It goes up and then down. Let's ask, what's going on with cash? Why does it go up and then go back down? I don't get it. It's saying that we invest heavily up front. We have 50,000 a year in marketing, growing, payroll costs immediately. And revenue takes a while to build, and then we have this working capital drag, this one-time investment. around mid 2027, we turn positive. I guess it's telling us why it's good, but not a bad answer. What can I do? Make cash not negative. Here it's telling us the problem again and then showing us some solutions. So we can raise some more equity. We can raise equity earlier. We can reduce early spend, or we could delay the debt until profitable. So interesting, the debt is actually not helping us. So option 2 and change to Jan 2026 5 for equity. Okay, you can see the assumption has been changed to Jan 2025. Now that 500,000 is coming in on January 2025, back on the financials, is no longer negative in the first year, but we still have this problem in the later years. Let's also increase the equity raise from 500K to, looks like we need about $2 million to avoid negatives. All right, so there you go. In real time, the cash deficit has been solved. We no longer go negative. If we go back over to the equity tab, we can see this is 2 million now. The really cool thing about this is it allows you to not necessarily need a scenario layer on top of this. You can run scenarios in the chat and ask it to change things while you stick around and linger on the financials tab and watch real time how things change.